This thing is huge. I was able to find the Target exclusive The Flash movie Batman and Batwing. And if you notice that this Batman specifically is Michael Keaton. Or is he Bruce Wayne? This is an absolutely massive vehicle, and the reason that I purchased this, and I don't typically get into like DC stuff, is that I really wanted to see if this Batwing could work for G.I. Joe classified figures. The scale of it is seemingly appropriate, so I think what we're going to do now is open this guy up and see what it's all about. We're just going to have to do it all right here because I'm not going to have room over at the table to put this because, it's huge. It's, what, 27 inches across? That's over 2 feet long. All right, let's get this open. So before we bring out all the pieces, just wanted to talk a little bit more about it. This is the Spin Masters one. It isn't the McFarlane one, and I got this for like a super sale. It was at the end clearance aisles at Target many months ago, and it's just been sitting on the floor, just waiting for the opportune time to open it. Might as well get it out, give it a review, and see if G.I. Joe classified figures will work in this thing. At the very least, I'm just going to hang this thing on the wall because the Batwing looks pretty cool. So here's the main body of the Batwing. This thing is a very solid matte black. It might be a little hard to pick up on camera. Let's open the canopy. That's a huge thing right there. I know that the figures are going to be huge for this, but again, this was to kind of test to see if this was for G.I. Joe classified figures as well. Without modification, it doesn't seem to be going that case, but you can just see how large this thing is. I mean, if I stick... you won't be able to hear me, but if I put my head back here, it's just large. And then we've got some landing gear for the Batwing. Of course, we want to land safely. Let's get the wings for the Batwing. This is just the bat right now. We'll get the wings. And here are the wings. I could wear these as like a backpack and then go to some sweet heavy metal concert. Looks like there's a clip system of sorts, so let's get those going. Make sure that these are going the right way. And... Watch out when you're assembling this thing. There's a lot of pointy ends, apparently. They hurt. All right, we have contact on that side. Wow, this is already... it's large. There it is. There's the completed Batwing. 3 pieces in that large box. I'd say that's pretty good. No stickers, nothing like that. There are no other points of articulation other than the canopy as well as the landing gear. There's 3. There's 1, 2, 3. Everything else is fairly flat, matte, black plastic. All right, let's get Batman out and see what he's like. Here's our Michael Keaton Batman. We'll get a close-up look so you can see just what the face sculpt looks like there. This is a 12-inch figure. This is something that's double the size of what I typically collect. I do have some 7-inch scale stuff that's kind of coming from Halo as well as Masters of the Universe. I don't have any 12-inch scale things. The reason is just space. This is a absolutely huge figure to store, and the unit for the Batwing, again, because we're dealing with 6-inch scale figures, sometimes the vehicles are just large, and we'll get to that part, but let's just, again, look at Batman. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience in these 12-inch scale figures, but what I can tell is I do like the way that these elbows are situated. It's rather well hidden a little bit here, in that it does give a nice range of motion that I wasn't expecting for something like this. And same with the knees, it comes up quite a bit. Like there's ample movement here so that if he actually had the ability to sit in the Batwing, I feel like he could. Of course, we're missing any sort of ankle movement right there, which is a huge bummer. But again, I wasn't really expecting this 12-inch scale. And here's the look at the soft goods cape. It's got the nice scalloping at the edge there. And it has that very famous Batman cowl coming down to the cape. And it does flow rather dynamically. All right, Batman, let's go. What we got to do now with Batman is put him in the Batwing, see how this all fits together. So we take Batman, and you essentially just lay him down in the Batwing, close the shell. Oh, try not to put his cape in the canopy. And there we go. There's Batman in the Batwing. Not a very complicated vehicle. This is just something that you put Batman in and it goes, right? Like this is the impressive part, right? Flying through the house with something of this scale and multitude of pointy edges. It's disappointing that there isn't more of a cockpit there with some kind of like steering yoke or maybe a few stickers. That would have been a nice way to fancy it up a little bit without breaking the bank. Speaking of price point, I think initially this was fairly expensive, like around $50, but I got it for like 10. Again, super sales. that's what these kind of chances are for, to see if there's anything else out there that I like collecting. But there is a ton of room in the cockpit for a 6-inch scale figure, because think of it, we're having the size. So I'm going to get Airborne from the G.I. Joe Classified series because he's currently without a flying vehicle. And we'll see what exactly that looks like for this Batwing. So here we have Airborne. We're going to lift the canopy on this thing, and we will just set him in there. And as you can tell, this is a much better look, a much better fit. The only issue is that there is not a lot keeping him in place. If you can get a look right here in the canopy, you can see that he's sitting in a more natural position than when we had Batman laying completely flat like he was taking a nap in the Batwing. Airborne in here looks really good. Again, the issue is that there's no seat, there's no restraint that's going to keep him in the thing, so if we move, he's just going to slide around in there and not really stick the way that he's supposed to. Maybe I'm a little bit spoiled considering I have things like the Vamp over there. We've got the Hiss Tank still to unbox, which are geared, which are tooled specifically for these 6-inch scale figures. Because look, as I was moving around and talking, we have Airborne all the way in the back, looking like he's going to take a nap just like Batman was. Here's the interesting thing though, is that this totally has potential. You could kit bash a seat in there and have something that would fit for a 6-inch scale figure or a 7-inch scale figure. I mean, there's plenty of room in this thing. Not only that, but the matte black finish on this is going to take paint really nicely. And any sort of additions, any sort of greeblies, or any bits of cosmetics that you would want to make to transition away from a Batwing and more to something a little more custom, you could really get into and do a lot with that. Hopefully at some point I'll have the time to be able to do that, but right now this is just a cool piece to hang up and have a Batwing there ready to go. I think what I'm going to do is just attach some of those Velcro pieces, those command strip things, and hang him from the wall, possibly like over here. There's a few other places, there's a few other walls that this could possibly go and look kind of rad. Even though I spent about $10-ish on this thing, I'm slightly disappointed. I didn't realize this was a 12-inch scale thing. I got hyped. I thought it was the 7-inch scale one. And I didn't really think before I bought it. But that said, I still think there's a lot of potential here. And if somebody's into kit bashing, if somebody's into creating custom vehicles, there's a lot to grab onto with this Batwing. Not only could I just put one G.I. Joe figure in there, you could put a couple seats in there, actually. It's that large of a cavity that you could configure it in a way that it's a very large aircraft carrier for your 6-inch scale stuff like G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, but you would have to be comfortable with modifying using some tools to cut into the plastic. I want to hear your thoughts though. What would you do if you had unlimited time and this exact vehicle? What would you configure it for, and how would you make it look cool? But no matter what, I'm glad I got that thing out of the box, got to play around with it a little bit and show you what I think about it. If you've gotten to this point in the video, please hit that follow button and get future updates for toy collections, Nerf collections, G.I. Joe collections, and we'll see you next time.